Everyone thinks the story of Titanic ended when the ship disappeared beneath the ocean. But the truth is, the darkest chapter began after the Titanic was gone. Deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean, a giant ship entered a world of complete silence. But above the surface, hundreds of people were still fighting for their lives. They were no longer inside the world's most luxurious ship. They were trapped in the middle of the endless Atlantic Ocean. A night that started with hope and dreams was slowly becoming a nightmare. This was the final journey of the legendary RMS Titanic, a ship that many people believed was impossible to sink, a ship carrying more than 2,200 souls toward a new future. Everyone believed this journey would become the greatest achievement of human engineering. Nobody imagined it would become one of the greatest tragedies in history. On the night of April 14, 1912, everything seemed peaceful. Passengers walked across the beautiful decks under the stars. Music filled the luxurious halls of the ship. Families spent their final peaceful moments together. Some passengers dreamed about their new lives in America. Among them was a young poor man searching for a better future. He had entered a world completely different from his own, a world of wealth, expensive clothes, and precious diamonds. Among the wealthy passengers was a young woman carrying valuable jewelry. She never knew that one day those treasures would remain hidden beneath the ocean. That night, the difference between rich and poor slowly became meaningless. Because against the power of nature, no amount of wealth could save anyone. Far away from the lights of the ship, something was waiting in the darkness. A massive iceberg was standing in Titanic's path. The ocean was unusually calm that night. There were almost no waves to reveal the hidden danger ahead. Titanic continued moving through the freezing waters. The crew had no idea that their lives were about to change forever. At 11:40 p.m., everything changed. The lookout suddenly saw something in the darkness, but the distance was too short. Titanic could no longer change its direction in time. The enormous ship collided with the iceberg. A quiet but terrifying vibration passed through the ship. Many passengers did not even understand what had happened, but deep inside the ship, water had already started entering. The engineers realized the damage was far worse than expected. Titanic, the ship that was supposed to be unstoppable, had started to collapse. The alarm bells echoed throughout the ship. Passengers left their cabins in fear and confusion. Nobody wanted to believe that this giant ship was in danger. The crew tried to guide people toward the lifeboats, but soon a terrible truth became clear. There were not enough lifeboats for everyone. Panic slowly spread among the passengers. Some people still refused to believe this would be their final night. People fought for a place on the lifeboats, but the cruel truth was, not everyone could survive. In that moment, social class no longer mattered. People who once enjoyed luxury and comfort were now fighting for their lives. Mothers held their children tightly. Children did not understand why everyone was afraid. Some men said their final goodbyes to their families. Around him, the precious jewelry of wealthy passengers still shined, but none of those treasures could defeat the freezing ocean. Water continued flooding the ship. The front of Titanic slowly sank lower. The lights of the ship were still shining, as if Titanic was trying to survive for one last moment. But its fate had already been decided. At 2:20 a.m., the moment everyone feared finally arrived. The last part of Titanic disappeared into the darkness of the ocean. The sound of the breaking ship became a memory forever written in history. After that, a terrifying silence covered the Atlantic Ocean. But the nightmare was not over. Hundreds of people were still alive in the freezing water. They were not drowning, but they were facing another enemy, the deadly cold. The water temperature was near 0 degrees Celsius. The human body was never designed to survive such conditions. People slowly lost feeling in their hands. Their voices became weaker. Their strength disappeared little by little. Cries for help echoed through the darkness of the ocean. But the distance between rescue and death was only a few meters. Lifeboats moved through the dark waves. Some survivors could hear the voices of people who were still alive, but returning to the crowd in the water was dangerous. Every decision could mean more lives lost. Time passed, and the voices slowly disappeared. The rescue ship Carpathia arrived. Survivors were pulled from the lifeboats one by one. But more than 1,500 people never returned home. Deep beneath the ocean, Titanic and thousands of unfinished stories remained. Because Titanic was not only a sunken ship, it was a story about people who had dreams, people who had families, people who lived ordinary lives, and people who became forever remembered on one cold night in history.